The twin suns of Lysara were setting when Saren left the old learning hall and walked toward the quiet cliffs. The sky was turning soft purple, and the large crystal trees around her glowed with a gentle light. Most people her age went home at this hour, but Saren preferred being alone with her thoughts. Her mind was full, as always. The same subject. She should have ignored the ancient legends about humans. Her world considered the stories nothing more than dramatic tales from lost ages. Teachers warned students not to take them seriously. Elders said they were only symbolic, meant to teach cooperation and restraint. But Saren had never accepted that explanation. She believed legends always started from some truth, and the legends about humans were the most mysterious of all. She reached a flat stone near the cliff and sat down. Below her, a wide valley stretched out like a silver ocean of leaves. The wind made the crystal trees hum softly. She opened her small data tablet and scrolled through old texts she had copied earlier. The words were faded and sometimes broken. She had read them so many times she knew them by heart. They spoke about a strange ability humans once had. The texts called it the shift. It was described as a rare state where a human's eyes would change, brighten, glow, or show strange rings of color. In that moment, the human would become sharper, faster, stronger, and deeply focused. The stories said they could sense danger before seeing it and push through fear when others froze to Saren. These stories were beautiful, almost poetic. But to others, they were silly and unrealistic. No one's eyes can change like that. Her friend Lear had told her earlier that day, "Humans are interesting, yes, but they are normal like us. Only old storytellers talk like this." But Saren felt something was missing in what people believe today. The stories were too detailed to be complete fiction. Why describe eye patterns? Why mention slow breathing or calm focus? Why repeat the same details across so many old records? As she wondered, a soft sound behind her made her jump. She quickly turned. A figure stood at the edge of the path, tall, quiet, and unfamiliar. The person lifted a hand in a gentle greeting. "I didn't mean to startle you," he said calmly. Saren blinked. The voice was soft, but carried a warm tone. His clothes looked different from anything Lysaren's. Were simple, rugged, and clearly made for long travel. His hair was dark and short, and his eyes... She paused. His eyes were a deep earth color she had never seen before. Simple, yet somehow intense. "You're not from here," Saren said before she could stop herself. He smiled faintly. "No, not really. I'm visiting as part of the exploration route. My ship had a small problem, so I'm waiting for parts." She stood slowly. "You're a human," he gave a soft laugh. "Yes, name's Callan." Saren felt her heartbeat faster, not from fear, but from excitement. She had met a human before, but only in formal settings or educational visits. They always seemed polite, curious, and very normal. Nothing like the humans described in the legends she loved. "I'm Saren," she said. "I come here to read old stories." Callan stepped closer, but kept a respectful distance. He looked out at the glowing valley. Beautiful place, peaceful. Saren nodded, then hesitated. She didn't want to seem strange, but the question rose anyway. Do humans have special abilities? Callan raised an eyebrow. Special? Like what? She felt embarrassed. Never mind. It's silly. He sat on a nearby stone and rested his hands on his knees. Try me. I've heard many strange things during travel. Saren took a breath. There are legends. They say humans could enter something called the shift. Their eyes changed. They became more aware, more focused. The stories say they could protect whole groups during danger. Callan looked at her with surprise, then with a thoughtful expression. He didn't laugh. He didn't dismiss the idea. Instead, he looked toward the valley again, as if the wind carried memories he hadn't expected to think about today. I've heard old stories like that, he said slowly. But I don't know much about them. Most humans don't believe such things. Sarah nodded. Same here. Most Lycerans think the tales are simple fiction. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The sky darkened more, and the glow of the trees brightened. Saren felt comfortable, as if Callan's calmness affected the space around him. She didn't know why, but she trusted him quickly, more easily than she usually trusted strangers. "Do you explore alone?" Saren asked. "Not always," Callan said. "But my team went ahead to another region. I stayed behind to wait for a part for our ship. I'm supposed to meet them tomorrow." Saren's eyes widened. "You're alone? In this area? Why?" he asked, noticing her expression. "This region has patrol tension," Saren explained. "A rival group has been active nearby. They sometimes stop travelers. It isn't too dangerous, but it can be stressful." Callan nodded lightly. "I appreciate the warning. I'll be careful." Saren considered telling him he should stay closer to town. But she didn't want to sound controlling, so she simply said, "If you ever need help, I live in the North Village. Anyone there will help you." "Thank you," Callan said with a warm smile. Before Saren could say more, a loud signal echoed from deep inside the forest. It was a sharp rising tone, followed by a brief pulse. Her breath caught. It was the sound of approaching patrol units, local ones, but strict ones. They usually checked IDs and questioned unfamiliar travelers. Callan stood up calmly. "Should I be worried?" "No, but they can be harsh with visitors if they think there's a risk," Saren said. "They don't intend harm, but they follow rules very strictly." The sound grew louder. Saren grabbed her tablet and stood beside Callan. "Follow me. If we move to the side path, they won't block us." Callan nodded and followed. They moved swiftly along the cliff path, though Saren kept checking behind them. The patrol lights appeared through the crystal branches, bright, sharp beams that scanned the terrain. "Stop," a voice called from behind. Saren flinched slightly. The patrol had spotted them. 3 Lasaran patrol members approached with their light scanners raised. Their armor shimmered with reflective plates, and their helmets made their voices firm and echoing. "Identify yourselves," the lead officer said. Saren stepped forward quickly. "I'm Saren of North Village. This is Callan, a visitor. He is waiting for a part for his ship." The officer studied them carefully. Visitors should not be near restricted cliffs during patrol alerts. "We didn't mean," Saren began. One of the officers moved closer to Callan. "State your purpose here." Callan remained calm, standing with relaxed shoulders and steady eyes. "Just exploring the area. I apologize if I crossed into a restricted zone." The officer did not respond right away. He scanned Callan's wrist tag, then checked his visor display. Something made him frown. "Your travel code shows a delay of 2 days. Why are you still here?" The officer asked sharply. Sal stayed calm. "As I said, I'm waiting for a part." The repair shop confirmed it. Saren could tell the patrol team wasn't satisfied. The tension in the air felt heavy. One officer stepped around them, as if preparing for something more serious. Saren glanced at Callan. She expected him to look nervous, annoyed or defensive. But he was none of those things. Instead, his breathing became slow. His posture shifted slightly, relaxed but ready. His gaze sharpened not in anger, but in awareness, like someone evaluating a situation quietly. Saren froze. Something changed about his eyes. It was not dramatic, not glowing, not blazing with light like the story said, but she saw a faint shift, just a hint of deeper color, slight ring forming around the pupil, almost like a halo of focus. It was subtle, but unmistakable. Her heart skipped. Was she imagining it? Could it be the faint light from the trees? Or was it? No, she had studied the legends for years. She knew the descriptions, and what she saw was exactly like the texts described at the very first stage of the shift's maul. Quiet changes when a human entered deep focus. Callan turned his head slightly, and she saw the ring fade back to normal. The officers didn't notice anything, but Saren did. Her hands shook slightly, not from fear, but from shock, for the first time in her life. A legend didn't feel like a story. It felt real, and she had no idea what that meant for Callanor for the days ahead. The patrol officers finally lowered their scanners after a long moment. The lead officer gave a short nod. "You may continue," he said. but avoid the cliff area until alert levels decrease. Saren bowed politely. We understand. Thank you. The officers walked past them and moved toward the forest's steeper path, their lights sweeping left and right. As soon as they were out of sight, Saren let out a quiet breath she had been holding. Callan noticed. You okay? I am, she said softly. I just thought they might question you more. He glanced in the direction the patrol left. They're just doing their job. No trouble. Saren wanted to agree, but her heart was still beating fast, not because of the patrol, because of what she had seen. His eyes. That faint ring of focus. That calm, steady posture. Everything matched the description she had memorized since childhood. She forced herself to look away and started out, walking down the main path. Callan followed beside her, matching her pace without effort. The night breeze brushed softly against the glowing leaves, making the whole forest look like a gentle sea of light. Thank you for helping me back there, Callan said. I didn't do much, Saren replied. You were very calm. I try to stay calm, he said with a small smile. It helps in new places. Saren nodded, though her thoughts were far from calm. She kept replaying the moment in her mind. She wanted to ask him if he felt something change, or if humans really had an ability like the shift. But she didn't know how to ask without sounding strange or intrusive. So she stayed quiet. They walked until the forest opened to a small rest area made of polished stone and crystal benches. Soft lamps glowed above them like tiny floating stars. Saren stopped there. I think it's safer to stay here for a while, she said. The patrol may come back. Callan looked around. Yes, this seems peaceful. Saren sat on one of the benches. Callan sat across from her. For a few moments, they simply listened to the wind and distant hum of the trees. You said earlier that this region has some trouble, Callan said. What kind of trouble? Saren hesitated. It's a group called the Valen Circle. They don't hurt people, but they often capture travelers for questioning. They believe outsiders might disturb the balance of the region. They act on their own rules. Callan nodded slowly. I've heard groups like that on other planets too. They usually stay far from here, Saren continued. But lately there have been more sightings. Patrol alerts have increased. That explains the officers earlier, Callan said. Saren looked at him carefully. You're not worried? Callan shrugged lightly. Worry doesn't help much. Staying alert does. The simple way he said it made Saren think again of what she saw in his eyes. That quiet readiness. That strange focus that didn't look normal. She lowered her gaze, unsure how to speak her thoughts. But Callan noticed her silence. You seem troubled, he said gently. No, She shook her head. It's nothing important. Callan wasn't convinced. You can tell me if something is bothering you. Saren looked at him, then at the glowing trees around them. She didn't want to sound foolish, but keeping her thoughts inside felt even harder. Earlier, she said slowly, when the officers questioned us, did you feel anything unusual? Callan raised an eyebrow. Unusual? Yes, like your mind became clearer, or you felt more focused than before, he thought for a moment. I did feel more alert, he admitted. But I always feel that way in tense moments. Saren took a deep breath. Your eyes changed. Callan blinked. My eyes. There was a ring of color, Saren said carefully. Just for a moment. It appeared when you became focused, and then it faded. Callan looked slightly confused. Maybe it was the forest light. Saren shook her head. No, I know what I saw. He didn't answer at first. Saren tried to read his expression: surprise, curiosity, maybe even uncertainty. Saren, he said finally, if my eyes changed like you said, what does it mean to you? The question made her heart leap with both excitement and fear. She looked down at her hands. It means the legends might be true, she whispered. Callan leaned forward a little. Legends about humans? Yes, Saren said quietly. About the shift. The air felt strangely heavy for a moment. Callan sat back, thinking deeply. I don't know much about that, he said honestly. I've heard some old stories, but nothing detailed. Saren nodded. Most people don't believe them. but I have studied them since I was a child." "Why?" he asked gently. "Because they fascinated me," she said. "The idea that humans once had a state of heightened focus, a state that helped them survive extreme conditions, a state that wasn't about aggression but clarity and protection." Callan listened carefully. Saren continued, "The legends say humans could sense danger early. They could stay calm when others panicked. Their reflexes improved. Their minds sharpened. And the first sign was that their eyes changed slightly." Callan didn't laugh or brush off her words. He simply observed her with quiet attention. "That's what I saw today," Saren said. "Maybe it was very small, but it was real." Callan rested his elbows on his knees, fingers interlocked, deep in thought. "If it was real," he said slowly, "I didn't feel anything strange. I just felt focused." "That's how the legends describe it," Saren replied, before Callan could respond. A sharp rustling came from the trees on their right. Saren stood up quickly. "What was that?" she whispered. Sel also stood. His body shifted, posture slightly lower, ready but calm. The rustling grew louder and stopped. Saren held her breath. A shadow moved between the trees. Then another. Callan stepped slightly in front of Saren, not aggressively, just naturally, as if protecting someone was instinct for him. 3 figures emerged slowly from the trees. They wore wrapped cloaks with faint red markings. Their faces were covered with smooth, mask-like fabric. Saren recognized them instantly. "The Valen Circle." Saren whispered Callan, "Don't make sudden movements." Callan didn't respond, but she saw his breathing slow. His gaze sharpened again, the same way it had earlier. Saren felt a chill, not of fear, but of recognition. The lead Valen stepped forward. "Travelers," he said in a controlled voice, "this area is closed for inspection. Please remain still."
Oh.
Saren bowed slightly. "We will cooperate." The Valen turned his attention to Callan. "You are not Lysaron." Callan nodded. "I'm a visitor. My stay is temporary." The Valen circled him slowly. "Human. We have been observing human activity. Your kind brings instability." Callan stayed calm. "I bring no harm. I'm only waiting for a repair." The Valen stopped in front of him. "You show steady composure." "To steady. State your purpose again." Saren stepped forward quickly. "He told you," but Callan gently lifted a hand, stopping her. His eyes never left the Valen leader. "My purpose is simple," he said. "Travel, learn, leave peacefully." The Valen leader studied him for a long moment, then gave a small nod to the others. They stepped closer. Saren's heart raced. This was not normal questioning. This looked like they planned to capture Callan and take him to their base. Callan sensed it too. Saren could tell. His shoulders straightened slightly. His eyes sharpened again. The faint ring returned, very subtle. But she saw it, and this time it didn't fade quickly. The Valens didn't notice the eye change. They only saw Callan's calm posture. "Come with us," the leader said. "We have more questions." Callan didn't move. Saren held her breath. The wind stilled. After a long second, Callan spoke, his voice quiet and steady. "I prefer not to go with you." The Valen leader tilted his head. "This is not a choice." Callan didn't change expression. "It is—" Saren felt something shift in the air, like the atmosphere tightened around them. The Valens stepped closer. Callan shifted his stance slightly, as if preparing to react without aggression. "Only precision," Saren whispered Callan. "Don't do anything dangerous." "I won't," he whispered back. "I promise." But the Valens were not listening anymore. They moved as if ready to seize him. Saren felt fear arise, but behind that fear, a strange hope flickered, because if the legends were true, if Callan could really enter the shift, then he might be able to protect them both. And the moment he lifted his head fully, Saren saw his eyes again focused, deep, ringed with faint light. Her breath caught. The legends were waking. The forest around them became completely silent, as if the glowing trees themselves were holding their breath. Saren felt her heartbeat quicken. Callan stood very still. Yet everything about him seemed sharper, his eyes, his breathing. Even the way he positioned his feet on the ground. The Valen Circle members moved closer. Forming a half circle around Callan and Saren, their cloaks swayed with each step, and their mask-like coverings hid their expressions, making them appear even more unreadable. "Human, the lead," Valen said. His voice firm but even. "You will come with us. We must confirm your intentions." Callan did not move back, nor did he lift his hands in defense. He simply watched them with calm, steady eyes. Saren knew this quiet calm was not ordinary. There was something else beneath the surface, something powerful, controlled, and very focused. "I already stated my intentions," Callan said. "I mean no harm." The Valen leader tilted his head slightly. "Then you will not resist." Callan's voice stayed gentle. "I do not wish conflict, but I will not be taken." One of the Valen members stepped forward quickly and tried to grab Callan by the arm. Saren gasped, but before the Valen's hand even touched him, Callan moved. He didn't attack. He didn't strike. He simply shifted sideways with smooth, precise motion. As if he had predicted the movement before it even happened, the Valen grabbed empty air. Saren stared in disbelief. Callan's movement was fast but quiet, controlled like a gentle wave instead of sudden force. The Valen who had missed the grab looked confused and stepped back. "How did you?" Callan said nothing. His eyes held the faint rings Saren had seen before clearer now. Brighter even in the soft forest light, the lead Valen raised a hand. Again, another Valen moved toward Callan, reaching with both hands to hold him. Callan stepped forward lightly and turned at the same time. The result was simple. The Valen's arms slid past him, losing balance. Callan steadied the Valen with one hand so he wouldn't fall. "I do not want to cause harm," Callan said softly. Saren's breath caught. The story spoke of this. Not aggression clarity. Not attack precision. Not power through force. Power through focus. The Valens exchanged glances. They were clearly not used to someone moving with such skill while remaining peaceful. "Enough," the lead Valen said. "We will surround him. Move." Two Valens stepped behind Callan, and the leader moved in front. Saren swallowed hard. She wanted to speak, but her voice refused to form words. She wasn't afraid of Callan hurting them. She was afraid of the situation growing out of control. Callan, however, remained like a calm center in a storm. "Callan," Saren whispered. "Please be careful." He gave a small nod without looking away from the Valens. "I will." The two Valens behind him reached forward at the same time. Callan pivoted smoothly, his steps light and almost silent. He lowered his body slightly, letting their arms pass above his shoulders. Then he stepped between them. Guiding both their arms away without forcing, he stood outside the circle. He did not push them. He did not strike them. He simply moved in a way that made grabbing him impossible. The Valens were now frustrated. Calm, but clearly confused. "How do you avoid without attacking?" one of them demanded. Callan took a slow breath. "I don't want to hurt you." Saren watched him closely. The slight glow in his eyes was undeniable now. It shimmered like a ring of soft light, brighter when he focused, and fading slightly when he relaxed. This was the shift, a real, living example of the ancient legends she had studied all her life. The Valen leader stepped toward Saren suddenly. The girl. Step away from the human. Callan reacted instantly but in silence, not aggression. He stepped between Saren and the Valen leader, his posture protective. Firm, but not threatening. "You will not involve her," Callan said quietly. Saren felt something warm in her chest. Both fear and gratitude. The Valen leader looked at Callan with new interest. "Your reflexes. Your awareness. This is not normal human behavior." Callan didn't answer. Saren did. "It is not normal," she said, stepping beside Callan. "It is something ancient. Something rare." The Valen leader turned to her. "Explain." Saren hesitated, but she knew she couldn't stay silent anymore. "He is entering a state called the shift," she said softly. "It is an old human ability real, even if most think it is myth. It gives clarity, focus, and strong reflexes, especially in danger. Danger? The Valen leader repeated. We have not harmed you. You are surrounding him, Saren said. You are trying to take him. That is danger enough. The Valens looked at each other. Their leader frowned. Even if this state exists, why show it now? He could have escaped earlier. Callan finally spoke. Because I don't want to escape. I want peace. But I will not allow you to take me or threaten Saren. The leader studied Callan's face carefully. Your calmness is unnatural, Saren almost smiled. If only the Valen leader knew how much stronger Callan could become. But she stayed quiet. Callan looked at the Valens, his voice steady. I will answer questions here. But I will not go with you. The Valen leader took one step closer. If we must take you by force before he finished, Callan moved, not to strike, not to flee. He raised a hand slowly, palm facing outward. The gesture was peaceful, yet the Valen members froze as if something in his stillness warned them. Callan spoke softly, but every word carried quiet strength. Please do not force this. The forest wind picked up, the glowing trees shimmering. Saren felt her own breath slow, matching Callan's rhythm without meaning to. The Valens hesitated. They could not predict Callan's movements. They could not read his focus. They could not understand how someone so calm could move with such precision. Finally, the Valen leader lowered his hand. We will question you another time, he said. This situation is unusual. We will report it to our superiors. Then, signaling the others, he stepped back. The Valen circle members melted into the trees just as quietly as they had appeared. Callan stood perfectly, still until their presence fully faded. Only then did his shoulders relax slightly. Saren rushed to his side. Callan, are you hurt? He shook his head. No, I'm fine. His eyes were still ringed with faint light, but slowly, gently, the glow faded. Becoming normal again, Saren watched with awe. Your eyes. They returned to normal. Callan blinked a few times. Did they really change? They did, Saren said. Every movement you made. It was exactly like the legends. Len looked down at his hands, surprised. I just felt focused. Like everything slowed down around me. I knew where they would move. I knew how to avoid them without harming them. Yes, Saren said excitedly. That's what the shift is. Not power by force, power by clarity. Callan sat slowly on the nearest bench, breathing evenly. I don't understand how it happened. Saren sat beside him. The legends say humans enter the shift when their mind chooses clarity over fear, when they want to protect, not attack. Callan looked away, thoughtful. I did want to protect you. Saren felt heat rise to her cheeks. You didn't have to. Yes, Callan said softly. I did. A gentle silence settled between them. The forest lights shimmered softly around them. After a moment, Saren looked toward the trees where the Valens had vanished. They will come again. Callan nodded. I know. Next time, Saren said, they might bring more people, or be more aggressive. Callan sighed. I don't want conflict. I know, Saren said, but your ability. It might draw attention now. Callan looked at her with a calm, steady expression. Then I'll stay careful. And I'll keep you safe, if danger returns. Saren's heart warmed again. You don't have to protect me, Callan smiled softly. Maybe not. But I want to. Saren looked at him, at the man who carried ancient legends in his eyes without even knowing it. For the first time, she wasn't just fascinated by the stories, she was living inside one. The night on Lysara grew deeper, and the glowing forest became calm again, but Saren's heart did not calm. She kept replaying everything she had witnessed Callan's movements, his eyes, his quiet strength. The legends she had studied all her life were no longer stories. They were real, alive, standing right beside her. Callan sat quietly on the crystal bench, looking thoughtful. Saren watched him carefully. Even though the light in his eyes had faded, she knew something inside him had changed. Something had awakened. You should rest, Saren said softly. You used a lot of energy. Callan shook his head. I don't feel tired. Only overwhelmed. Saren sat beside him. It's normal. The shift. It is not easy to understand. Callan sighed. I didn't even know such a thing existed. Humans on my world don't talk about this. Most would say it's impossible. Saren smiled gently. Most people on my world say the same. But legends come from somewhere. Callan rested his elbows on his knees. If this ability is real, if I have it, does that make me dangerous? Saren shook her head quickly. No. The legends say the shift is not meant to harm anyone. It appears when a human chooses clarity instead of fear, protection instead of aggression. Callan looked up. Protection. Saren nodded. That is the heart of it. Humans long ago faced difficult environments. They had to survive storms, earthquakes, wild creatures. The shift helped them stay calm and think clearly when danger came. Callan thought about this for a moment. That would make sense. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel fear. I only felt like I needed to keep you safe and avoid getting captured. Saren smiled softly. Exactly. Callan leaned back against the bench, letting the cool forest air wash over him. So this ability, it's not about power? No, Saren said. It's about focus and strong awareness. The stories say the mind becomes sharper and the body reacts with speed and balance. Callan looked at his hands again. I never trained for this. I don't know how it happened. Shift does not require training, Saren said gently. It responds to your heart, to your choices. It is rare, but natural. Callan looked up at the glowing canopy. Do normal humans still have it? Most don't experience it, Saren said quietly. But the potential might still be inside them, hidden, waiting. A soft wind brushed through the leaves, making the forest hum lightly. Callan listened to the sound for a long moment. Then Saren spoke again, her voice thoughtful. Callan, the Valen Circle will report what they saw. I know, Callan said softly. They don't understand what the shift is, Saren continued. They might think it is a dangerous ability. They might fear it. Callan turned to her. What do you think they'll do? Saren looked down at her hands. They may send more members. They may want to capture you again, or they may want to study you. Callan frowned slightly. Study me? Saren nodded. If they believe your ability can change their balance of power, they may want to understand it. Callan exhaled slowly. I don't want anyone to fear me. I don't want to cause conflict, I know, Saren said. But sometimes fear makes people act quickly. Callan's expression grew serious. Then I need to avoid trouble. Saren hesitated. Callan, maybe you shouldn't meet your team tomorrow, Callan blinked. If the Valens are watching this region, Saren explained, they may follow you. If they believe your team knows something, they might create more tension. Callan sighed. I can't hide forever, no, Saren agreed. But you can stay cautious. Callan rubbed the back of his neck. I've never had to deal with something like this. Saren gently placed a hand on the bench near his. You don't have to deal with it alone. Callan looked at her, his expression softening. Thank you, Saren, she smiled. You protected me. Now I will help protect you. For a moment, the night felt peaceful against two travelers sitting under glowing trees, sharing the quiet. But the peace didn't last long. A distant sound echoed through the forest, low and steady, like a large object moving through leaves. Saren stiffened. That's not normal, she whispered. Callan stood up. Is it the Valens again? Saren listened carefully. No, that sound is heavier. Maybe a transport. Maybe patrol units searching for the Valens. Callan's posture sharpened instantly, though not fully shifting. His breathing grew slightly slower. We should move, Saren said. Callan nodded. Which direction? Down the river path, Saren said. Fewer patrols there. They started walking quickly along the narrow stone path. The forest lights shimmered around them, but Saren felt tension building inside her chest. As they reached a small wooden bridge over a glowing stream, Callan slowed. You hear that? He whispered. Saren stopped. She listened. At first, she heard only water. Then she heard its soft footsteps behind them. Not fast, but steady. Someone is following, Saren said. Callan looked around calmly. How close? Not far, Saren whispered. Callan nodded. Stay behind me. Before Saren could respond, the footsteps grew louder. A figure appeared at the edge of the tree stall, wearing dark patrol armor. But this armor was different. Sleeker. Heavier. Saren's eyes widened. That's not a normal patrol, she whispered. The figure stepped into the glowing light. His armor was marked with sharp silver lines. The symbol on his shoulder revealed everything. A Valen captain? Saren felt her breath catch. Captains rarely traveled alone. That meant more were nearby. The captain raised a hand. Human, do not run. Callan didn't lift his hands or step back. He simply stood steady. Saren saw it again, the calm rising in him. The world seemed to slow around him only slightly, but enough that Saren recognized the early signs. Why are you following us? Callan asked. The captain's voice was firm. There is a report about you. Your reflexes. Your awareness. We must confirm the truth. He is not dangerous. The captain looked at her with sharp eyes. That is not for you to decide. Callan gently moved so he was slightly in front of Saren. I will not be taken. The captain lowered his visor. Then you leave us no choice. He stepped forward. The moment he moved, Callan shifted. This time it was stronger. Callan's breathing slowed. His eyes deepened. The faint ring around his pupils brightened. Clearly, Saren's heart jumped. The shift was fully awakening. Callan moved before the captain, could finish his second step. Not attacking, only positioning. He guided Saren behind him with one gentle motion, and then turned his attention toward the captain. The captain lunged forward. Callan stepped sideways, with perfect timing. The captain's hand brushed air. Callan's footwork was smooth, almost silent. His movements were clear and precise, like he had walked this path 100 times. The captain tried again. Swinging an arm to catch Sland, ducked, moved behind him in one flowing motion, and lightly tapped the captain's elbow. Not hurting him, just shifting his direction. The captain stumbled forward but stayed on his feet. Callan spoke calmly. Please stop. I don't want to harm you. The captain froze, staring at Callan as if seeing something impossible. How can you move like that? Callan said nothing. Saren stepped forward. Because he is using an ancient human ability called the shift. It's not a weapon. It's not dangerous. It's only clarity. But the captain didn't seem convinced. He reached for a device on his belt. Callan reacted instantly. He swayed forward and gently pushed the captain's arm aside. The device fell harmlessly to the ground. Saren whispered, Callan, you're in full shift. I can feel it, he said softly. The captain stepped back, stunned. This is impossible. Callan straightened his posture. Please, no more fighting. The captain looked at him with conflicted eyes. I will report this. Others will come. Stronger units, larger forces. Saren felt fear rise again. Callan's expression didn't change. Then I will face them with peace. The captain backed away slowly, unable to understand what he had witnessed. After a few long moments, he turned and disappeared into the trees, likely running to call more units. Saren ran to Callan. Callan, more will come. This is getting serious. Callan's eyes slowly returned to normal. Sighed. I know. Saren looked at him with worry and admiration mixed together. You carried a legend inside you, and now the whole region might know. Callan looked toward the dark trees. Then we have to be ready. Seren nodded. We will be. Because now she understood something important. Callan's ability wasn't just a legend brought to life. It was hope that humans had hidden strength, not for conflict, but for protection, and the world was about to see it. The morning light rose over Lysera with a soft blue glow. The forest shimmered gently, the rivers sparkled, and the birds sang in quiet harmony. But despite the peaceful surroundings, Saren felt a deep tension inside her. She knew the calm would not last. Callan stood beside her at the edge of the forest path. His expression was steady, almost peaceful, but Saren could see the quiet strength beneath his calm eyes. Ever since the confrontation with the Valen captain, something inside him had changed permanently. The shift was not just an ability now, it was a part of him. Callan, Saren said softly, "We don't have much time. The Valens will return soon." Callan nodded. "I'd know. But running will only make things worse." Saren looked down. "You want to face them?" Callan took a slow breath. "I want to understand why they fear a peaceful ability, and I want to keep others safe from misunderstandings." Saren admired his courage, but fear still tugged at her heart. What if they bring many units? What if they don't listen? Callan looked at her gently. "Then I will speak with truth. And if they still don't understand, I will avoid conflict again, just like before." Saren knew he meant it. Callan had never shown anger, not even when he was surrounded. His strength came from clarity, not force. And maybe that was why the shift had awakened in him. A soft sound echoed from deeper in the forest. Saren stiffened. "They're coming." Callan turned slightly, his eyes calm. "Let's move to the clearing. It will give us space to talk." They walked toward an open field not far from the glowing rivers. The field was surrounded by tall spiral trees and a flat stone platform used long ago for peaceful gatherings. Saren felt a strange comfort stepping onto it. Was a place meant for understanding. But the comfort faded. Quickly, a distant humming rose in the air, then another dot and another. Callan. And Saren looked up as three small transport crafts appeared above the treetops. They descended slowly, landing with soft hisses of air. The moment they touched the ground, armored figures stepped out 10, then 20, then more. Their uniforms were marked with silver lines and blue crests. Saren whispered, "These are higher-ranking units." At the center of the group walked a tall Valen commander, his armor heavier than the others and marked with bright silver patterns. His face held a stern but calm expression. He stopped several steps away from Callan. "You are the human who demonstrated unusual reflexes," the commander said. His tone was controlled, neither angry nor hostilely firm. Callan nodded respectfully. "I am." The commander studied him closely. "You moved faster than our captain could react. You avoided every attempt to capture you." And your eyes showed unusual signs. Seren stepped beside Callan. "Commander, please listen. The ability you saw is called the Shift. It is an ancient human skill. It is not harmful. It helps with clarity and calm." The commander gave Saren a thoughtful look. "We have heard of this legend, but legends do not usually appear in reality." Callan spoke gently. "I did not know I had this ability. It appeared when I needed to protect someone." The commander looked at Callan with narrowed eyes. "Protect, not attack?" "Never attack," Callan said firmly. "I do not want conflict. I only want safety for everyone." Murmur spread among the Valen soldiers. They clearly expected fear, anger, or aggression, but Callan showed none. His posture was relaxed, his breathing slow, his eyes calm. The commander stepped closer. "Show me." Saren's heart jumped. Commander Callan raised a gentle hand, signaling her to trust him. Saren hesitated, then nodded. The commander stood 1 meter from Callan. "I will move my hand, not to strike you. Only to test your awareness. Do not harm me. Only show clarity." Callan nodded. "I understand." Commander lifted his hand slowly. Callan's eyes shifted subtly, not glowing fully, but sharpening. His posture softened, and his focus became clear. The commander moved his hand quickly to the left. Callan stepped aside with smooth, almost effortless timing. The commander shifted his hand to the right. Callan flowed with the motion, calm and balanced. The commander tried a faster motion, but Callan gently guided his wrist away with 2 fingers, not forcefully, only directing. The soldiers watching fell silent. The commander lowered his hand, stunned. Not because Callan moved fast, but because of how he moved. No aggression, no tension, only clarity. He whispered, "This is not a threat." Callan nodded. "It was never meant to be." The commander took a slow breath. "Then why did our captain report it as dangerous?" Saren stepped forward. "Because he misunderstood it. He saw something rare and became afraid." The commander looked around at his soldiers, then back at Callan. He spoke carefully. "Humanity's history speaks of many strengths, some forgotten, some hidden. If this ability is real and peaceful, then we must learn the truth, not act from fear." Callan nodded. "That is all I ask." The commander raised a hand, signaling the soldiers to lower their stances. The tension in the field melted into quiet relief, but then one soldier approached the commander quickly. Whispering something urgent, the commander's expression changed. He looked troubled. Saren stepped closer. "Is something wrong?" The commander hesitated, then spoke clearly. "There is a disturbance in the northern region. A large creature has crossed into inhabited territory. Patrol units are struggling to guide it away." Saren's eyes widened. "Those creatures are huge. If they panic, they can cause serious damage." Callan looked thoughtful. "Can we help?" The commander stared at him. "Help? You want to assist us?" "Of course," Callan said. "If your people are in danger, we should help them. That's what peace means." The commander studied him with new respect. "Very well. Follow us." The journey to the northern region was quick. The Valen crafts moved over forests and cliffs until they reached a wide valley where patrol units were trying to keep a massive crystal-horned creature away from nearby villages. The creature was tall as a tree, glowing with shifting lights along its body. It was not hostile, just confused and frightened. Saren gasped. "It must have wandered too far from its zone," the commander said. "It is not attacking, but it does not understand our signals. If it panics, the villagers could get hurt." Callan nodded slowly. "Let me try." Saren looked at him with worry. "Callan, are you sure?" "The creature is huge." Callan smiled gently. "Size doesn't matter if I stay calm." He walked forward alone. The creature noticed him and let out a deep, echoing sound. Its glowing scales rippled with color, showing confusion. Callan breathed slowly. The shift rose in him, soft, steady, warm. His eyes sharpened with quiet focus. Every sound around him became clearer. Every detail became understandable. He did not run. He did not shout. He simply walked with calm steps. The creature lowered its head toward him, curious. Callan extended a hand open, peaceful. The creature inhaled deeply, sensing no threat. It stepped closer gently. Saren watched with awe. The commander watched with disbelief. The soldiers watched with silent wonder. Callan whispered softly, "It's okay. You're safe." The creature's glow softened. It let out a low, calm sound and slowly turned away from the village path. Callan walked beside it, guiding it with gentle movements, always staying peaceful. The creature followed him easily, letting him lead it back toward the forest zone. When they returned, patrol units cheered softly, relieved. The commander approached Callan with deep respect. "Human, you brought peace with no force, no fear, only clarity. The legends speak of this type of strength. Today, I saw it myself." Callan smiled kindly. "Thank you." The commander bowed his head slightly. "We will no longer pursue you. Instead, we will tell others the truth. The shift is not a danger. It is a gift." Saren's heart warmed. "Thank you, Commander." The commander looked at Callan again. "Your world may have forgotten its old strengths, But you reminded us all why the legends existed, signaled as soldiers, and they began to leave peacefully. When they were gone, Saren turned to Callan, with shining eyes. You guided a creature twice your size. You changed the mind of a commander. You turned fear into understanding. Callan looked up toward the glowing sky. Maybe the legends were never about power, but about peace. Saren smiled softly. And today you proved it. They walked back through the shimmering forest together, side by side. The world around them glowed quietly, as if honoring the truth they had uncovered. A legend had awakened again, not to fight, but to guide. Not to weigh, but to protect. And for the first time in many years, the people of Lasara would speak of humans not as a mystery, but as a source of calm strength, a strength the galaxy had forgotten until Callan reminded them.